Hi, my name is Bibi, and in this video, we're turning this into this. So in this video, you will get to see the journey that brought me this jacket. I've been wanting a quilt jacket for a while, and I just couldn't find the perfect quilt. And then I walked into Goodwill, and it was just there. It's beautiful.
I love it.
I used a pattern that I will link in the description. The pattern is free to print. It's pretty easy to follow. This all around cost me about $8 to make a jacket that you could easily buy for
Much more than $8.
I am going to jump right into it. You will start this video at me cutting the pattern, laying it out, and then figuring out how to cut out pattern pieces and moving on from there. This is my very first pattern. This is my first wearable project, and if I can do it, you can do it, I promise. Everything you need should be in the description, and yeah, have fun. Step 1, cut all of these out so that they're this size instead of this size. And then I'm going to try to figure out how to put it all together. So this process turned out to be easier than I thought it would be. Just follow the order that is presented on each paper and tape them together in the corners so that the circles match. And of course, make sure to give your pattern lots of loving pats along the way. All right, everybody, there she is. Much larger than I thought it would be. So now that we have all of that taped together, I am going to figure out what size I want and then highlight that size on the pattern pieces and then cut those out. After much deliberation and just pulling out my amount of fabric here, I've decided to make a medium-sized jacket just because I'm afraid with a large, I won't have enough fabric. So we're gonna mark all the mediums and cut it out on that line, and now they're done. That took about an hour, so let's try it on the fabric. I'm pretty nervous about this step because I feel like once I cut the fabric, there really is no return. And since we only have like this quilt, I'm really nervous to not be able to fix my mistakes. I'm gonna lay out all the pattern pieces on it and make sure we have enough room and see how it goes. Also, I have decided that this side is going to be the outside of the jacket and this side will be the wrong side or the inside. I think that this gives better
Quilt jacket energy.
I'm gonna lay this out and we'll get to it. Wow, it's a lot more fabric than I thought. Okay, these are all the pattern pieces, so even with doubling this piece and doubling that piece, we have more than enough.
Just not enough space in my apartment.
So the first thing I'm going to cut is this back piece. It says to cut on the fold, and I just googled it, and apparently you usually cut on the fold with the right sides facing each other. So we are calling this side the right side, so we have two of the right sides facing each other. I'm going to pin that and cut that. Guys, we have a back piece. I cut out my very first piece. Let's get to the rest. I did the rest exactly how I did the first one, by pinning them and then cutting. By the end of the day, I had all my fabric pieces cut. Day 2, I was not in a chatty mood, but I just pinned the shoulder panels to the front panel, right sides together, and then used my sewing machine and sewed across that top line. I also fixed the seams on the shoulders this day using the fat felled seam method, which I'll link in the description. So it's been a few days. I have been
Avoiding sewing.
pretty high key. We're gonna do some sewing. We are. Basically, the reason I've been avoiding this is, hold on, we have done one thing. Okay, actually, I'll give myself a little bit more credit. We've done two things, because I did do the seams up here. I was really excited because I thought the next thing would be the arms, but instead, Instead, the next thing is a bunch of facing. And I don't know what facing is, nor do I know how to do it, so I've just been avoiding it. But we're gonna stop avoiding it. We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it.
We're gonna do it. I'm gonna put my hair up and we're gonna start sewing. Okay, so the next instruction is to pin the interfacing pieces. 1, 2, and this is the back facing. Wait, this is the top piece. And then these two come down to form the neck. So you pin these interfacing pieces right side together at the top of the seams, and then you just run that through your machine. I was calling the right side the vine side to set a contrast to the rest of the jacket. But whatever side you pick as your right side, do those together at the top of that seam. The next step is to finish the outer edges of this with a serger or a zigzag stitch. I do not have a serger. Nice. Okay, so I zigzag stitched along the edge and then I trimmed. And this is what we're looking at. Yeah, it'll work. So, yeet. The next step is to take your upper and under collar pieces and pin the two right sides together. Okay, I'm gonna go find those pieces. All right, so I think since we did the facing with this being the right side, we're gonna continue that. These are the two collar pieces. And it says to lay them right sides together. So this being our right side and this being the right side together. And then we're supposed to pin along the outer edges. Make sure to put your presser foot down, PSA. What? We have our collar facing our body. Next, we're supposed to pin the finished collar, this guy, between the right sides of the bodice.
What? And the facing?
I'm sorry. How? So after some reading, what I believe you're supposed to have is body, your collar, and then facing, all kind of in a huge,
ginormous sandwich.
I defluffed the collar piece and this piece so that I could sew them without wanting to scream. Okay, so we've pinned the facing along the bottom, and then we've made this facing collar jacket sandwich. I'm just gonna go ahead and sew that. Okay, this is kind of irrelevant, but also kind of hilarious. While I was making this, I was watching Wednesday on Netflix, and the dissonance between like the sounds of that show and me sewing with like such confidence is really hilarious. Hello. So I just went to Joann's and bought fabric for a dress that I'm going to make.
What is that?
I did just buy this fabric from Joann's and I'm super excited about making this dress, but I know that if I just start making that dress, I will never finish this jacket. And I want to finish this jacket. So we're gonna try to finish it today. Here's where we are. This is currently the jacket. There's some things that need to be fixed. First of all, when I made the sandwich, it missed some of the collar. So some of this is like poofing out and didn't actually get sewn down. And then you have this bit that needs to be sewed down here. This fabric got so thick that my presser foot couldn't stay down. I think to fix both of those problems, I need to hand sew the collar. And to be honest,
I just don't want to do that right now.
I'm just gonna move on to the sleeves and add these. And then I feel like once it's more of a complete jacket, I'll refine my energy to hem it and fix the collar and like make it look really nice. Okay, so the first moment that we're having right now is that I don't know how to pin the arms to the body correctly because the pattern,
Which we all know how I am with fine patterns,
says pin and stitch the sleeves to the armholes right sides together. And I'm like,
Okay.
but if I pin them right sides together, then when I sew it, the sleeve is gonna be backward. Okay, so I did figure it out. So you pin the right sides kind of like, there's the arm, and then you pin the right sides here, so that when you flip it, it's right sides together. We do have sleeve-like things. I was right, I am more excited about it now, even though it's kind of like a weird cape. The next step is to connect this. You flip your project inside out, and then you pin this, go down this line all the way down.
This is about justice being served.
So this day I fixed the seams in the arm since it was really uncomfortable. Basically just folded those seams over, pressed them, and then ran that through my sewing machine. Then I began working on hemming it by first of all cutting out the excess fluff and measuring where I wanted it. Then I ran that seam through my sewing machine and hemmed it. Then as the final touch, I hand sewed the collar and fixed those mistakes at the top. Here is what the collar looked like after I had hand sewn it. Okay, here she is at the current moment. I fixed the collar, have hemmed it, and basically all we have left
Is pocket.
These are the pieces that the pattern came with. I just don't think that a pocket this size really suits the jacket. Hi. So to fix that, I took the pattern piece and trimmed it down to a size that I thought would look good on my jacket. I messed around with the placement for a little and then decided where I wanted it. There. And then I cut out the pattern pieces. Okay, so originally I cut this out to be the wrong side, like mismatch on the front, but I just flipped it around and look at how it's
Perfectly arose?
I think just we have to do it. To make the pocket, I folded down the top seam and then put that in my sewing machine and then pinned where I wanted it on my jacket and then sewed it directly on top. I'm realizing now that I definitely should have put pockets on the front before I connected it to the back, because wow.
There's just so much fabric.
I am so happy with this jacket, especially for a first project. The fact that it's something that I want to wear is huge. Like, that was the bar for me. Do I want to put this on again? And the answer is
Definitely.
of course, there are some things that if I wasn't such a very beginner could look a little bit better. The seam for the pocket is crooked. If you don't look inside of it.
Just don't look inside of it.
And the collar is a little bit wonky, but overall, it went
Surprisingly well.
so. As I get better at sewing, I will get more and more excited about what I can make. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time we're feeling crafty. Bye!